Hey folks, and welcome back to the Inside the Mix podcast. And this is the Synth Pals Pub, the second one of the year. If you are a new Inside the Mix podcast listener, welcome, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you're a returning listener, welcome back. In this episode of the Synth Pals Pub, I'm very excited to welcome my guests today. We've got some returning guests and one new one today. So we've got Neon Highway, we've got Aisle 9, we've got Sub Neon, Thalrex, and we've got Helsinki Project. Fantastic stuff. So before we get started, if you want to join me and my fellow producers at the Synth Pals Pub and feature on the podcast, you can go to www.insidethemixpodcast.podia.com. It's an excellent opportunity to expand your network, learn from your peers, have a chat and share essential tips and tricks and bonus. As you can tell, every episode gets aired as an episode of the Inside the Mix podcast, so you get more exposure for your music. And you'll find at the end of this episode, we actually do have the opportunity to play some of your music as well. So in this episode, we're going to discuss what should be established between artists when collaborating, and also touch on some content tips for 2023. So, gents, thanks for joining me. Thank you very much on this Sunday evening for most of you. Some of you possibly not, depending on where you're joining me from. How are we all? All good?
All good.
Doing good.
Very well, thank you.
Lovely stuff.
Great to be here.
Fantastic. Yeah, welcome, Chris. First time. It's
thank you very much.
Lovely to see a new face. It's good stuff. And we got some old furniture here as well, so it's all good.
You all look like old furniture.
You shouldn't talk about Carl like that.
Yeah. Yes, we are actually live on YouTube and Facebook at this point. Maybe we'll have more than the 0 people. No, actually, we had one person who viewed last time. I tell a lie, on YouTube. So I've actually advertised it on Facebook this time, so we might have more. Who knows?
So if we get 2, you've doubled your viewers. That's good going.
Well, this is it.
If
we
get
did have
2
some
viewers,
interaction.
Let's do it.
Right, Jed. So we're going to kick off with the question. Now, this was from Hearts in Beta, or Beta, however you want to pronounce it. And this was in the Facebook community group from last time, and we didn't get around to it. So his question was, I'm hoping to start my first collabs this year, 2023. I'm curious, is there anything that should be established up front between artists before starting a collab? Now, it just so happens that we've got 2 artists here today who have collaborated. It's not like I planned this. And so what I thought might be quite good is to get a bit of insight. We'll have an insight from those artists, and maybe, I'm not sure if everybody has collaborated with anyone else, so maybe some experience from those who are also looking to collaborate. Yeah, that'd be great. So if we start with R9 and Thalrex, I know you guys have collaborated. Tell us your song you collaborated on first. Thalrex, how did you find the process, and what is the song you and R9 collaborated on?
Yeah, so we collaborated on We Come in Peace last March, I think. And what really happened was I reached out through some random Facebook community, I think, and we got in touch, and so I basically I made some kind of contract that we signed ahead of time. Where we agreed to the rights of the track, where we could distribute it, he could have his version on his Bandcamp, etc. And what kind of royalty split we would have for the track. So I didn't really know, and I don't know really today what's the right process, but I think that worked out pretty good, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool, thank you, Thalrex. R9, do you want to your experience?
Yeah, well, I thought it was great because Thalrex had sort of, obviously, I think you'd done it before, hadn't you? Collaborated, I think, previous to our collaboration. So you're kind of, I hadn't actually done a collaboration, so I found it good that he was really on it and had a little contract and everything. I don't know, I think it kind of makes you feel... It should make you feel at ease, I think, like that everything is sorted out like that. You're not, going to quibble about it afterwards or find out that something is happening that you weren't happy with. And I think it's nice that thing of being able to like share it on your own Bandcamp, your own SoundCloud, that kind of thing, YouTube or whatever. But I think it's that sort of thing of if you can see that collaborating obviously can really enhance your profile, like your reach. I mean, some of Thaurex's listeners will have heard of me through that remix, and some of my listeners will have heard of Thaurex now. So it's obviously it's a kind of win-win situation, really, as long as the music works. I suppose that's the real question, isn't it? So once you got all of that bit out of the way, and the next bit was like, actually sort of toing and froing with the music, and Thaurex sort of sent me some stems over, and then we kind of worked from there, really. But like, getting that bit right, because I mean, lots of people working in different DAWs and stuff, so there's quite a lot to sort out. But like, as long as you get that bit right, and the other person sort of, communication, like all these things, but. I thought it worked really well with our project. I really enjoyed it. It kind of came together really naturally, actually. Yeah. I think it was because it was such a good tune, if I'm brutally honest. I felt like I got something that was really good to start off with. That really does help. You can imagine it, and it kind of, you're excited by doing it. I think if that would be my word of warning, is if you get something and you go like, I don't honestly like this, or I don't really feel excited by this tune, it's probably better to pass or ask, have you got another tune, or choose another collaboration, rather than push yourself into something you don't feel, as a collaborator. I wouldn't do that, I don't think. But it's easy to sort of find yourself doing
that. Just for both of you guys, did you not find at any point from, say, the inception of the track to maybe even halfway through, sorry, apologies again, I don't have a microphone. I don't know if I sound like I'm talking from across a field or anything here. Can you hear me okay? Yeah?
Yeah, we can hear you.
And we can catch what I'm saying. Right. So you didn't find at any point that either from the beginning or maybe halfway through that you had a different idea of the musical direction for the track that you decided to collab on?
Fortunately with our one, I don't think we did we, Thaurix? It didn't...
It just worked, I think.
Yeah, it did. But it could have. It might not have. Is the answer? I did a. It hasn't come out. I tried doing something for another artist a while back, and slightly. He was coming from a slightly different genre, more like melodic house, deep house kind of thing, and maybe that was the problem. And I was trying to do a synthwave style remix of his track, and he's a brilliant artist. I love his work, but I think, it wasn't him being difficult. It was more like I think where I wanted to take it and the sound I was generating wasn't really what he couldn't really get along with that. It wasn't really what he wanted, and so it just wasn't working. And I mean, we've left it at the moment, having tried a few revisions and stuff. And that is always a danger because, at the end of the day, I mean, I spent quite a lot of time on the project and it's not gone anywhere. But then I wouldn't want him to put it out, unhappy with it. So, didn't work.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point, because I remember when we did the collaboration, one of the points that I had in my contract was that we would only release it if I was satisfied with the finished track. So I had kind of a quality control over the project, you could say. That could be, but I also had a clause that if I decided not to release the track, we could agree that maybe I9 could release it on like for his on his own Bandcamp or something. Yeah.
I've never really done anything with the other one in that sense, but like, good point, Chris. Though it's definitely.
I find it very interesting. I mean, we are talking about music at the end of the day, and you could go in so many different directions, even off, there's 4 producers, 1 sample kind of thing. I find that kind of thing very interesting because everyone can have their own perception of what a thing is within music. So I just find it very interesting that even from the beginning or anywhere within the track, you could not necessarily a clash of views, but just a difference of opinion on what the perception of what you're trying to do with the track that you're collaborating on. So, I mean, I haven't done it yet, where I'd be interested to know. I mean, I'm sure it can come down to communication. You might have a difference of opinion, but you can talk about it and come up with some common ground. So I just find it an interesting process to talk with another musical mind for a song.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
definitely.
all very good points, gents. I think what Thalrex said there about having that quality control is key, because obviously you're putting your name to something and then having that
Yeah.
understanding and agreement in place that, you know what, if I don't use it, you can use it X, Y, Z. And it's,
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
know with like CD, if you wanted like a formal contract per se, if you, I'm not entirely sure what your contract consisted of. I know CD Baby have one, because I remember somebody approached me a few years back about a remix. And I said, yeah, that's fine. But I've got this contract in place that I want to go through. And I sent it across. I didn't hear anything back. So that immediately, I was kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
But
If someone doesn't want to sign one,
Interestingly-
it's a bit worrying, isn't it?
yeah. I did have somebody reach out on YouTube. And I was supposed to message them back, and I didn't. They've left a comment on one of my videos saying they'd like to remix it. And I'm thinking, like, I don't know, maybe if you were that inclined to want to remix it, like, just get in touch with me on one of the social media channels. But it just actually, I'm going off on a tangent here. It just reminded me I really need to message this person back and do that.
Yeah, you really should, Mark.
It's funny because
I'm still waiting on a reply.
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah.
I said I'm still
Oh,
waiting on that reply.
Oh dear.
Because I got
interestingly though. Go on,
I got
Tim.
one from Heartbeat Hero, actually. Like, when I didn't know any of the kind of current people I know, I had no idea who he was. I was just on SoundCloud, and he just, like, listened to my track Groovy Dinner, which I haven't actually released on Spotify yet, but, like, and he just went, oh, I'd love to remix that. And I just thought, who's this dude? Oh, I don't know, mate. And I just thought it was a bit ropey, and I'd, like, just was like, no, Heartbeat Hero, no way. No, and I was a bit funny about it. I was a bit cagey. I was a bit like, what's he going to do with it? What's going to happen? All the rest of it. I mean, now I know him. I wouldn't feel like that at all. I'd be delighted. So I might have to bother him again and, like, sort of get him to remix it. But, like, you know, because he does great stuff. But, you know, yeah, it was. I think it's funny if you don't know the other artist or you don't have a bit of a relationship with them. Maybe it's. You know, I mean, if Neon Highway said he wanted to remix something of mine, I would, you know, I'd know to be worried. You know, it'd be all right.
Yeah.
What's I've
Don't
never,
you mind them.
I've never done a collaboration as such. I mean, I suppose I've employed somebody's, you know, the services to sing a vocal, but I wouldn't say that's a collaboration. But in terms of setting up that process, having not done it, what do you need to give Thalrex to IO9? What do you need to provide to him in order to do that remix? And is that process the same for anybody that's doing a remix, or does it differ?
Ooh, good question. I mean, I'll hang this over to Thalrex and R9 in a minute, but I did or rather, Heartbeat Hero did a remix of one of my tunes ages ago, and Rocco Destra actually. And interestingly, that Rocco Destra one is probably one of the most popular ones. Fantastic one.
It's such a good track. Both your tracks are really good.
I appreciate it. Thank you very
So
much.
good.
But the way I did it, I rendered all the stems and I just sent them off, so they're all exactly the same length, so he could just then import them. So when I say render the stem, obviously he didn't have my my sends. You can't do that in Logic, which is weird. I don't know if you can in other DAWs, if you can render the send output, but in Logic, as far as I'm aware, you cannot. So it's just the stems, and I sent those across, and then he did X, Y, Z with them, and that's the way I've done it. Because I've never remixed anybody else's work. They remixed mine, which maybe I'm just lazy in that respect. Probably should do. But yeah, so that's the way I've done it. R9 and Thalrex, how did you go about it?
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, you far away. Thalrex. Okay. Oh well, I will.
Well, yeah. Yes, you start.
Yeah. Basically, what I wanted was, you know, in order to do it is you know, as you say, the stems all from the 0 point, so that that's the worst thing if they don't all come from exactly the beginning of the track, then you can't line them up. So if they come from the beginning of the track, and the difficulty sometimes is how much processing is on them, and I tend to ask for Not a lot of EQ and that kind of stuff on there, if possible. It's tricky with synth stuff because a lot of the time the projects, the actual presets are going to have loads of delay and reverb and stuff on them. But certainly if I've got vocals or something, I don't want to have reverb or time-based effects on them, so I can do that later. I can cut... And again, with drums, like, if you've got a massive reverb printed on the snare drum, I'm probably just going to find that it's going to be a bit hard to use, because if I do anything different with the track, it may not be right. So I often will want them sort of dry, or a dry and wet version or something like that. So, but equally, I think what Thaurex did, and I didn't realise he was going to do this, was he gave me kind of MIDI as well, and loops of things in MIDI and in audio, which actually I was a bit like, oh, is this going to work? And it was really good, because I sort of, once I understood the sort of layout of the track, it was really useful actually having that, because then of course you've just got the MIDI snare drum pattern, and you can just go, right, well, I'll choose my own snare for this and put that in, and so that was quite a handy thing. And not everyone does that. They just give you the audio, and actually having the MIDI is quite useful, I think, so that you can make your own sounds up without having to sit there and work out a part, necessarily. So it's quite good,
I was going to say that. I asked that question then, Tim, with regard to MIDI, because I didn't render, bounce, however, or print the MIDI, however you want to put it, when I did it. But I think if I were to do it again, or if I were to ask or remix someone's project, I think the MIDI it'd make your life a lot easier when it comes to replacing sounds.
Really good idea.
Yeah, 100%. Otherwise, you are stuck.
I always prefer to work in MIDI, because if I'm doing a remix of a track, I want to imprint my sounds on the track.
Yeah.
So keep the same, like you want to keep the spirit of the track, but in your own sound, and in that way, maybe stems aren't that useful. Maybe.
I think we had something that was really good actually, Thaurex, which was, I think there was like your main kind of big synth sound, lead sound or something, which is great. And I heard it, as soon as I heard it, I thought, damn, I'm not trying to find a sound that's better than that, I really knew I wanted to use that sound, you know what I mean? It was really key to the track as well. But although you're giving it to me in MIDI and audio, the great thing was we both had silence. So you said, oh, I made it in this, and just gave me the patch. So I could just load up the patch, and then I could slightly change it or whatever. So if you've got the same synths, I mean, a lot of people now, we probably do have crossovers with some of the things. So, a lot of people have got Diva or whatever, so if you've got those things, then quite good to actually send the patch as well as the MIDI. And then, you've got a lot more flexibility. So... But yeah, I think the thing is to just be patient with the fact that there may be toing and froing and asking for this and that, and you don't expect, oh, I sent it all off and it'll all be fine. It may not be, and people may need to and fro a little bit. So, that's just the way it goes. Mm.
Yeah, interesting. Sub Neon, yourself, I know you're quite new to the game per se, but I gotta say, mate, your productions are fantastic considering
they really are.
You've only
Great job.
I know you're a musician beforehand, but you've sort of come onto the electronic synth sort of scene, and you've hit the ground running, mate. I got to say. What are your thoughts on collaborations? Is that something that you're sort of envisaging doing this year or maybe next year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've started a conversation with Clinton about a collaboration. We've actually exchanged a couple of stems, and I think, there's a reason why I'm quite keen on working with Clinton, is because we've become quite good friends, and I think that feels like an important element to it. I mean, I get a bit scared about the whole thing about contracts. I'm still suffering from a bit of imposter syndrome at this point in time. And I listen to Clinton stuff, and I think, how am I going to screw his track up when he sends his stems over? I feel I'm in a position with the kind of friendship that we got now, which is great. To be able to say, actually, can we try this? Or, maybe try a different snare for that particular sequence. Do you know what I mean? And it's I would like to take it forward. I've had a go, but the stuff he sent over, I've not quite got to work with the way that I'm producing at the minute. He's got quite quite thick, very reverby sounds that comes through, and my stuff is really quite punchy and clean. So it's going to take a bit of work, and we've kind of put it on the back burner for now, but I think there's definitely an opportunity to work there together. It was weird, actually. I got a message on Instagram the other day, because I posted about 6 months ago this thing that I'd done on Ableton Note, which is like an app version of Ableton, and it was just like a 5-instrument loop thing. And I got this request to say, can I do something with the sequence that you put together? And I was like, yeah, go for it. Why don't we actually produce something in isolation? You produce something, I produce something, and we'll compare and contrast. And I think that could be quite an interesting thing to explore, you know. So that was a really long-winded answer of saying yes, wasn't it? But you know.
No, long-winded answers are good, because it gives me a lot of time to think about what to come up with afterwards. So no, that's great. And this boils down to the monthly Clintone shout out now that we have on the podcast.
I'm not going to do it again.
We're just trying to get him on.
I've been pushing. I tried to get him on last year, but he's a busy lad.
Yes.
Admittedly, Clintone sent me some stuff that I need to. I've got the file.
Just too busy sawing pieces of wood, isn't he? Yeah.
Actually,
Mark, you just not respond to anybody, no? You just
well,
want to get everybody coming to you. Yeah, everyone just comes to you. I've got some ideas. I want to do something, and you just ignore them. That's your thing, is it?
I need to. My response time is getting longer, but I need to curb it. It's yeah.
It's
the candle
borderline
both
being
ends, I think they call
ignored
it.
at this point.
My response time is just getting longer, full stop, in life. So there we go.
Just in conversation.
Subneon, the thing you said about doing like 2 separate parts of the track, that's really interesting, because when me and Ventura made the track Vecna's Revenge, it was basically just 2 separate tracks that we kind of merged together as one. I think you could maybe hear it because the style changes up in the middle of the track. So
did you hear my?
It's a killer track too. I was actually listening to it yesterday.
Yeah, it's great.
That track.
Did you hear the unofficial thing that happened? Which was, I've forgotten his name now. It's terrible. Like artist who remixed me into. He mashed my Christmas '84 up with Kiss.
Was it FM Legacy Vibes?
Fairground. What's this? Or fair?
I haven't heard this. With Kiss,
Fake Ground, wasn't it?
Fake Ground.
Fake Ground.
Yeah, something.
Yes,
Yeah, sorry for forgetting his name. Yeah, it's great. You've got to go and listen to it. He contacted me. He did a mashup and said, "Can I put this out?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, put it out." I mean, not on streaming stuff, but I said, like, put it out on socials and all the rest of it, and YouTube or whatever. And it's great though. It's just I was kind of chuffed that he wanted to sort of mash me up. I've made it. Someone's done a mashup of me. It's great with Kiss now.
What Kiss tune was it? I'm a Kiss fan. What Kiss tune was it?
Damn, I can't remember now. That's how much I took.
Remember?
No, I did. I really liked
That
it.
much fun, huh?
Yeah, I'll have to find it. Yeah, can't remember. It's a great one. Really good one. Yeah.
Yeah, those are always good. As you said at the beginning there as well, it is extra like what do you call it for yourself? Promotion. And also, interestingly, this kind of goes on nicely to a potential conversation that we might have time for about content creation. Is Sequenza, and I put this in the chat a few times. So obviously Sequenza remixed my track You and I and did an Italo disco remix of it, and it's now hit about 120,000 plays on YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know how. I don't push YouTube Music in the slightest, but it's every week it goes through a peaks and troughs. So it dips to about 2,000 or 3,000 listens, because it's not views. Actually, I tell a lie, it's not views. So unfortunately, YouTube streams of your music don't count towards your views, which is a real pain, because that means I cannot get to the 4,000 views you need to then monetize your YouTube channel. But it's only if they watch the video. So if they listen, it doesn't count. But anyway, So yeah, I ever since Christmas, it's just going like that, and it's steadily. It's crazy. And off the back of that, what I then find is the other tunes that I have aren't having as many plays, but they're still in the thousands, the few thousands. But yeah, out of nowhere, 130,000 views, listens in sort of Ukraine, Belarus, Russia.
You're big in Russia, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
It falls at a poor time, really. It was one of the countries I did want to visit, but I don't know if now's the right time. But
just watch out when you're walking across a bridge, and somebody with an umbrella comes towards you. But other than that, you'll be all right.
I just suddenly did. You don't hear anything from the podcast after my
yeah, just find you under a bridge
Russia.
in Exeter. Yeah. Just because you wouldn't pay a certain person his dues.
Yeah. What I do now, I got off total tangent here. Every now and again, I'll go on the video, and then I'll see loads of comments in Russian, and then I'll go on Google Translate, and I'll just start having conversations in Russian with these videos. Most of them are good. Somebody did say it was missing a baritone voice, which I thought was quite a weird comment. But each to their own, But
what a time to be big in Russia.
I know. It's the most plays I've had on one song, 130,000. It eclipses anything on Spotify. But yeah, that was out. I didn't push that at all. The only stuff I really put out on YouTube are the podcast stuff. Is the podcast stuff rather, and some YouTube shorts every now and again. But no. I mean, what would be quite good now is I think we've got probably about 15 minutes before we can forward play the tracks. Is maybe to go into a bit of content creation, because that was the sort of the vote, as it were, in the Instagram chat that we have leading up to this.
I thought we were going to write a song with D, A, B, C, and E in it. No?
It's not bad.
There was a vote on writing a song with that chord progression.
Yeah. Each of us should write a song with that chord progression and see what we come up with. That'd be quite interesting.
I was hoping Neon Highway brought something to the show today from our last chat about putting that chord progression into it.
Yeah, I was thinking that. No. That's our collaboration.
We're in.
But no, I think it'd be quite good to see or get your experiences with content creation. Now, I know, Matt, you said in the chat, interestingly, that I think it was yourself, that you are in the marketing business outside of Sub Neon. Would I be correct in assuming or thinking that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't profess to be an expert in the whole music marketing side of things. I market very, very boring industrial things that I would make you so bored if I talked about it. But actually, I mean, I am a card-carrying chartered institute in marketing guy. I'm qualified, and it's interesting actually because I was speaking to. I'm going to name drop Russell Nash again. Sorry, but I mean, we were chatting the other day about. We were talking about what works and what doesn't, because I recently released a new single, and it's probably not performed as well on Spotify as I would have liked. And I think in that particular example, less is probably more. I mean, I look at someone like Dream Kid as a kind of a best in class at the minute. And I love Dream Kid. He's absolutely smashing it. He's like a flag bearer for the whole synthwave movement, and it's come out of nowhere. And he's connecting on a whole different level. I think if I put my marketing theory hat on, if you like, and try and break it down as to what buttons he's pressing, and it's kind of, I mean, he's a thoroughbred synthwave through and through. It's really, really strong, but he's also really got that message around nostalgia. So he's targeting a very particular audience who are connecting with the message that he's putting out there, whether it's a piece of music about a cyborg coming back from the future to kill whoever, or he's got this little narrative to each of the pieces of music that he produces, and he's doing really, really good stuff. And I think, but the problem we've got, and coming back to the point about the conversation with Russ on Ash, is that the synthwave market, if you like, is so saturated at the minute. It's so difficult to cut through. And that therein lies the challenge for everyone, is where can you find your unique bit of your value proposition, if you like, the thing that you've got that other people don't, and I'd be interested to hear what other people might think as what kind of angles that you guys are taking to
I think
cut through.
Immediately for me, that one, just sort of touching that last point, is that I think a lot of people go for the same stuff. And you're right, synthwave is completely saturated, but everybody goes for Top Gun, Breakfast Club, and all that. And there's nothing wrong with these things. They're absolutely fantastic. I mean, Heartbeat Hero's got an incredible track called Breakfast Club, and it's got a bunch of Breakfast Club samples on it. But everybody goes after the same stuff. So I think for me, if I'm wanting to deliberately be nostalgic and tap into that nostalgia, which ultimately those are the ones that get more views and more listens, I kind of sway away from the more popular ones. And that's just sort of touching on that last point that you made there, Matt, around the culture and around, how do we sort of stand out. I think you're right, it's not doing the same as everybody else. I've seen a great comment from Drew Knight recently saying, don't just jump on with your Poly 6 and start doing the bass lines, because everybody's been doing it. Musically, that musical representation, it sounds great, it's amazing, there's a million songs like it, and your song could be fantastic, but just don't do it because everybody else is doing it, and you're not going to stand out if you jump onto that.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I think going back to what Sub Neon said there, going right back to what you said about the Dream Kid side of things, I think if you look at the way he's done it, it's not just the sound, but it's the visual that goes with it as well. Like, he's fully invested in that nostalgic appearances of nostalgia, and I've seen others do it, and I've seen others sort of take it and put their spin on it and do it slightly differently to varying degrees of success. Admittedly, I don't, but. I think there's another one. Sunglasses Kid does it as well with regards to that, and he the stuff he comes out with is so good, and like with that success. But it's tricky because that works for them, and I know they're smashing it out of the park with numbers and stuff. And I mean, it's not all about vanity metrics and like trying to get all the X amount of followers and whatnot. Obviously, it does help. But I think I agree with what you were saying there, Cart, as well. With like there is it can get a bit formulaic, I think, sometimes with regards to what people are using to push their music. Now, listening to like all your guys' music as well, I wouldn't say it's necessarily strictly synthwave either. Correct me if I'm wrong. Which
I would definitely say.
I'm a fan of.
Yeah, I'd definitely say that for me, I know I don't naturally just fall in to a genre or any genre very easily. My musical influences are too diverse, so I will tend to go in different directions. I try to stop myself going too off path and to keep it with a core that makes sense, but whether it's synthwave, synth pop kind of thing. But like at the same time, I don't want to restrict my creativity, so then I sort of need to work around that with marketing to try and find people who that is their jam. That kind of is what they like. They actually enjoy the diversity, the fact that I might be a little bit left field sometimes, and they don't want me to just be, writing sort of like outrun tracks. That's not what they want. They've kind of moved on from that, and they kind of, I mean, don't get me wrong. I completely, someone who I absolutely adore is Essinger's stuff, or Essinger. Well, I think his stuff is amazing. And like someone was talking about albums the other day, and it was one of the only few albums of synthwave that I could actually say I really liked was one of his. Like, I don't really listen to synthwave albums, but I like it's just the whole journey, and it's great. It's funny because he strikes me as someone who, in his way, doesn't do an awful lot of advertising of what he does. I mean, he's not very public. I was like trying to find interviews, I was trying to find stuff, and it's more like just like almost that persona of kind of like, keeping back and just writing this incredible music, which everyone was like, "Where's this coming from?" I'm not saying that's going to work for everyone, but I think the product's got to be really good. That's a marketing 101. If the product is really good and you really believe in it, then you're going to be able to get people interested in it. But something that I would be interested to know what other people think is how seriously to take yourself. Because, do you think of yourself really seriously? I'm an artist. I am, Essinger doesn't crack many jokes. It's like an orders pilot, and he wears a fucking helmet. It's weird, isn't it? Like, some people are really quite serious about their music, and you get this kind of serious sort of persona. And some people, maybe like myself, don't take it themselves so seriously, although their music is serious and what they do is serious. So I don't know, quite whether how to fall on that, whether your own persona, because I think your own persona does sell or not sell work. So engage fans or not engage them, and I can't quite work out where to sit with that.
Yeah, I do see some people really trying to push themselves and trying to build their following. And then I see other people who don't seem to say or do anything online other than they respond when somebody retweets their song or reposts their song or something like that. Like, there's so many artists that don't seem to put themselves out there at all, and they have their music everywhere, and they've got massive amounts of monthly listeners and stuff like that. And I do be sitting back wondering, because I'm actually, this week in particular, I'm just tired from trying to think of ways to market myself or who I should talk to and stuff like that. And I've been looking over the last, say, 2 weeks at people who don't seem to promote themselves at all, but have a great following. Like, say, Essinger, for example. I never see him post anything, but his music has a massive following, as do a lot of people. And I want to know what they're doing, where they don't have to do anything on social media, but they're out there and they're getting heard. So it's very interesting.
Yeah,
that's exactly it.
I think it comes down to it must be the quality of their music, and also it's got to be word of mouth as well. I mean, going back to what you said there, Tim, about how serious to take yourself. I mean, I don't take myself seriously at all when it comes to posting stuff online.
A boat with your head in it or something.
Yeah. I see something and I'm like, yeah, I'll have a go at that, and then I do it, and then I put it out, and what's happened for me is that I do most of that for the podcast now, and then when I release a tune, I'll put more effort into promoting that. But what I find is, in doing that and putting my face out there, and I do care about the way I come across, but at the same time I don't take myself seriously. I do get a lot of engagement, which is probably why, in terms of DMs, it's probably why it takes me quite a bit longer to respond. Is because I've got so many things to respond to, and it's usually just someone laughing or something along those lines. But I'm very much in the camp of not taking yourself too seriously. But I think it all comes down to you as an individual and whether or not you want to put your face out there. Because I think when I started the podcast, and I think when I started producing as well, when I was in the band, my face was out there. We looked stupid and stuff. But when I first started the podcast, I didn't want to put my face out there. I just had a silhouette. I know when I was producing, and then at one point I was just you know what, I'm gonna let people see my face, and then it kind of snowballs from there. But once
you want to hide that lovely beard.
Yeah, the floating head. Beard. The floating head, as Russell calls it. Yeah, I'd love to know what their secret is. Is it down to longevity as well? Maybe it's because they were there. Because this is similar to a conversation I had with Sunglasses Kid, whereby he said there was sort of there are it's not hierarchy, it's a generation of producers, and he was there sort of the beginning, or maybe the second generation of producers around the time of Michael Oakley as well, in that they were there then, and having been there then, they've then amassed this following that really just sort of keeps itself going, and it just every time they release music, they've got that established audience. Whereas now, when you try and do it, it's harder because there's a lot of us doing it.
Yeah, it's more soaked, isn't it? I talked to Chris Keir, who's he's got a great following and he's, I don't know, about 100,000 monthly listeners or something now, and he's been on quite a lot of the Spotify sort of actual official playlist, sort of outrun playlist, and I did this track "Dying Sun," which was a collaboration when we were talking collaborations earlier, and did that track with him. Really enjoyed doing that, I was really chuffed to get to work with him because I think he's a phenomenally sort of respected sort of producer, and so it was great to do that. I was just asking him what is there a secret? What is it, Chris? And he just said consistency. He said consistency of making your product, putting it out there, doing. And he said, I don't do anything different than anybody else. I put it on all the playlists, I go through all the sort of stuff, but I'm just very consistent. And I think that was all he could really give me. And he said, I wish I could give you some sort of magic formula or something different, but that is honestly it. Now, either he's hiding it or he's telling the truth. So, I think there is a point there. I can see that consistency making sense, and it is hard to be consistent, and maybe that's style as well, because his style is quite consistent. That sort of he slightly crosses the sort of cyberpunk kind of synthwave thing, and he kind of keeps hitting that, Whereas I find it harder to stick to a more consistent style, so maybe consistency is key, perhaps. But he did start in that earlier wave though of synthwave, like you said, Mark, and I do think he came out and into the whole scene as a lot of other people did at a time when it was branching out. There were very few names in it initially, and now there are a lot more of us, so harder.
Yes. Yeah. I think you're right, and I think it's there is a lot, and I think I haven't interviewed. Well, I can't remember the last time I actually. No, it was the Safety Word was the last artist I interviewed, and that was back in November. And I don't think we discussed it then, but I remember previous discussions I've had, and it has centered around that there are a lot of sort of synth-based producers, and I think consistency is. I think Zach Vortex is an example of consistency as well. I mean, that dude releases stuff all the time. He's always releasing. He's always doing something musical. There's always something musical going on, whether it's release or it's a live mix or something along those lines. I couldn't keep up with everything that I do, and I'm just making excuses now. But I don't. But in terms of consistency, I know someone like yourself, Carl, Neon Highway, you're pretty consistent with your releases. I mean, you're releasing pretty consistently.
Pretty consistent. I mean, last year was really good. There was one every month, sometimes two in a month, and I agree with that whole consistency point. I've had a bit of a break since then, but it is sort of it's been organised and planned everything. I can't rush something out. I can't go, I need to write this today, finish it tonight, and get it on Bandcamp tomorrow. I need to know that the music's right, and then going back to the content creation point. And going back to the content creation, I really enjoy then the music's done great, now I can have some fun, I can put some visuals together, what's really going to engage people, what's going to draw them into this track, or tell them a little bit of a kind of story visually about this track, and I think that's really important, getting that right, getting the text right that you're going to fire up on whatever social media, get your hashtags in there, and it's enjoyable. But then once you've done that, you're right back to the next track's coming out, and that consistency, that definitely worked last year. I just need to get my finger out and do it again this year.
Well, this segues quite nicely into our next section then, Carl, in terms of consistency and new music. You see what I did there? I set you up for that. So I'm going to test to see that the music works. I'm assuming you all heard that. Was it quite loud? Yeah, all right, I'll turn it down a bit. Let's try that again. Is that better? Still loud?
Perfect.
I mean, it's pretty attention grabbing. Yeah. It's not too loud.
We'll roll with that. One thing I was going to say is, folks listening, audience listening, this is live. I'm just going to quickly jump over. We've had 1 like on Facebook. That's better than last time. And we've got 1 concurrent viewer. Hello, viewer on YouTube, whoever you may be, rather. Get my words mixed up. Feel free to put something in the chat. Hello. We've had 2 views on YouTube. It's better than last time.
It's probably my mom.
Totally worth
Clinton.
doing that video as well. 2 hours well spent, is what I say.
That video was great, man. I'm expecting that every time you're on the podcast now. You
I
realise.
love that video.
You've got it, don't worry.
Yeah.
Just one of
Got
your
a thing
Russian
going.
friends.
Oh man, I didn't know how to say. I was learning Russian, like basic Russian. I didn't know how to say hello. I know how to say no. It's niet, and that's it. But that doesn't help me in this instance. But anyway, I digress. So, Carl, the On Highway, do you want to tell us a bit about Lethal Weapon 2 before I play this teaser?
Yep, sure. I was like, what tracks you get lined up here? I'm glad you reminded me. So Lethal Weapon 2, I released Lethal Weapon last year because, going back to that point, everybody was doing Breakfast Club and all the other ones. I thought, no, I actually don't know anybody that's done Lethal Weapon yet, and it's one of my favourite films. Me and my wife watch it every 23rd of December. So that was I thought, let's do a Lethal Weapon track, and I had a lot of Easter eggs in it. I tried incorporating parts from the soundtracks of the movies. The length of the track was 3 minutes 56, which is a real geeky Easter egg reference to 3 William 56, which is Murtaugh's police car call sign. So people really responded to that first track, and Russell Nash jumped on it straight away and was like, "When's the second one coming out?" And I was like, "Mate, I don't know. I'm not doing a second one." And he kept sort of badgering me about it. I was like, "Do you know what?" I said, "I've written this little thing." I said, "What do you think?" He went, "That's perfect." He's like, go with that. So Lethal Weapon 2 has been kind of boiling away for a wee while. So I think I finished it about 4 months ago, and just I've been sitting waiting on it getting released. And it is also exactly 3 minutes and 56 seconds long, just like the first one, and that reference to the movies.
Nice.
That is one hell of
That's
a reference,
awesome.
man. That's brilliant. I love that. That's fantastic. All right, so here we go. It's not going to be the whole track, but it's a teaser. Let's give this a play. If you don't hear anything, please do highlight. Otherwise, I'm just going to be sat here thinking you can hear it. And nope. All right, I'm just going to try one other to see if it works. That. All right, let's try again. It worked that time, didn't it?
Yeah.
Joe, did that play the right song?
I wish that was my track.
No, that was No on Highways, wasn't it?
That was
mine.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what.
Segue.
It's not a segue now. I'm going to try and
Retrospectively tell you about that if you want.
Yeah. I'm going to.
Radio 1 have been on, and they don't want you to DJ.
Oh. It's flat.
Gigs off.
I'm going to try it once more. I've re-uploaded it. Hey, we got there eventually. Lovely stuff.
Cheers.
Sorry about that, girl. It's
So good. So good.
it does my head in this platform sometimes.
I'm a fan. I like that.
Yeah,
one.
that's. Yeah, man. What are you using for the bass? The bass harp in that. What are you using?
You're using Poly 6 by any
This
chance?
this is when I finished it 4 months ago, but I probably was mastering it then, so I probably finished it writing 5 months ago. So, oh god, what was it? I'm pretty sure it would have been Diva. Diva's my kind of go-to synth, and threw an ARP on it, and then do you know, the bass line was completely different, and then I actually stumbled and fell on my keyboard one day, and I must have been running it at the same time with the arp going at a lower octave, and my fingers hit the higher octave, and it just created this sound, and I was like, whoa, I was like, that works, that's brilliant, how did I do that again? And then kind of recreated it from there, so the bass line kind of almost fell in by mistake.
Literally.
Nice.
Literally.
Yeah, I like that, man. I like that. I just want to say that I think my slight fuck up on the sounds then has meant we lost our viewer on YouTube. So
Oh, you're so fired, man. You're so fired.
Oh my days. I'm going to be writing a sternly worded letter. I'm going to send a letter, actually. I'm not even going to email. I'm going to send a letter to this platform.
I'm going to send you an email to ignore now, Mark. Another one to put on the back burner.
Oh, brilliant.
So Lethal Weapon out is out Friday the 17th.
Of February.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Folks listening, I'll put a link because this will come out after that date. Yes, it will. So I'll put a link to that in the episode notes. So what we'll do now is, thanks, Guy, we'll move over to Matt at Sub Neon. Just tell us a bit about your track. Pretend that we haven't actually heard it already. Go for it.
Okay. So this will be my fifth release. Wow. I'm actually making some progress, which is fantastic. I'm really excited about this, and actually I'm not bored of this one by the time it's being played to anyone, so that's a result. It's one that it actually feels like I'm finding my sound a little bit, because I'm not really a dyed-in-the-wool synthwave artist by any stretch. You know, I've got so many different influences from different corners, and this one, I don't know, I was messing around with Massive, which is an amazing synth, by the way, and I've got my little mixing desk here that I've turned into a tool purely for modulation and mucking around with oscillators, and I came up with this wow noise, and I just threw it into a track, and this is kind of the result. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Fantastic, thanks, Matt. Yeah, Massive's brilliant, isn't it? I've recently started using Massive again. Some fact, properly diving into it and see what's in there.
And then there's Massive X. I've never worked out what the difference is. Isn't there? There's Massive.
I've got Massive X.
Yeah.
But I never really.
I always get
Massive.
worried.
Is there a
I look at it and go, "Oh no, is something weird going to happen if I choose the X one?" No, I won't, and go back to Massive.
I don't honestly know what the fundamental difference is between the two. I don't really use Massive. I've just been a main user of Massive
It's good
X.
synth.
But yeah. That Pigments as well. Anyway, I digress. Let's play this song. Pretend like we haven't heard it. Let's. So this is Sub Neon. Nice. I really like. I was paying proper attention to it this time, but I really like that one. That's great, man. You know what? It reminds me of in the noughties when you had the particular detective TV shows from America or something like that, and they had like the intro theme to it, and it gave it. It's the wow that sort of sound, and then the sort of melody you got going over the top of it. You can tell I don't sing. Over the top of it, it kind of It reminds me of that sort of sound. I'm trying to think of a TV show. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I love that. I really like that sound you got there, that wow sort of sound.
Yeah. There's some really interesting sounds in there. Really nice.
There's some stuff that reminds me of like 48 Hours stakeout movies in the 80s as well. It does have that little bit of nostalgia, but only if you're familiar with it. Otherwise, it just sounds... The production's incredible, mate. Honestly, your production's fantastic.
I love the snare. I love you got the snare right, which is a major achievement in life.
On that fucking snare for
I know,
months, and I've not touched the settings since.
and you got that really nice thing between.
First step into. No, go on.
Go for it. I was just like between the first snare and the second one. Yeah,
there must be a delay.
Sorry, the first snare and the second snare.
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
I'm a bit half cut now. Sorry. It was my first step into proper sort of sound manipulation, because that wow is quite a boring sound in Massive, but chucking a wah pedal in there and automating the heel toe and the envelope and stuff like that. I'm really pleased with myself anyway. So, but thank you. It's called Yokai, which is Japanese for spirit, and it hopefully is going to come out sometime during the course of March.
Fantastic, lovely stuff. Keep an eye on that. And once again, I'll do it retrospectively. I can put it in the show notes when it's released. No, brilliant stuff. With Massive, I've got some patch packs. I'll dig them out. I don't know. I'm assuming you can use them in Massive if you haven't got Massive X, and I'll fire them over, mate, because there's some fantastic sounds in there.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, lovely stuff. All right, last but by no means least, Tim R9. Tell us about the song that we're going to play.
Well, Wonderland is what the title of the song, and I'm going to be giving my carefully planned marketing all away by doing this. Basically, it kind of came off of the Wonderland murders, or Four to the Floor murders, that happened in 1981, Laurel Canyon, and there was the film Boogie Nights kind of came off that as well. It's sort of, a tale of these, four people who were sort of killed, like in a drug sort of, thing, and it was like also the porn star John Holmes was all involved in that and all that kind of sort of stuff. But it's really, I wasn't kind of all interested in all that so much as like the end of the 70s and the peace and love movement and the beginning of the 80s, and it sort of was that pivotal moment, and this kind of was a bit of a sort of pivotal thing, the kind of death of like one thing and the birth of the kind of different drugs and different music with the disco sort of thing hitting and all that kind of stuff. So it was just like one of those kind of things that influenced this track and made me write a track, I think. Whether the track entirely has that, but it's definitely it's pretty frenetic, it's kind of quite sort of dark and dancey, but so it's got that devil on the dance floor thing going on it. So that's where it came from, I think. So, hopefully it's a good track, but it's taken ages trying to write it, and like I hate it now. Suddenly on says he still likes his track, but no, I've just like I've listened to it a lot, so I'm trying to regather the track and go, I like it again, because I've just listened to it too much. But I'm pleased with it. But you know what it's like. You get to that point where you just like mastered it and mixed it way too many times. But yeah. So it was good. Just don't ask me to sing it live at the moment, because like there's not enough gap for air in any of it. But like that I kept writing lyrics that I couldn't really sing all at the same time. But yeah, it was good. Good fun.
Fantastic, thanks, Tim. Before we play the song, I just want to say, Heartbeat Hero is watching on YouTube. Hello, Dan. I did message him and say that we have referenced you previously in this episode. And when it comes to playing music, he is the the pinnacle compared to me on these platforms. But thanks for dropping in, buddy. So let's play this track. This is Wonderland by R9.
3 a.m. in the Canyon. 1st of July 1981. 8763 Wonderland Avenue. Unidentified men.
Been driving boulevards and fires, crashing movie scenes like James Dean, doing bathroom lines with bad boys, throwing reefer on their silver screens. Cash up tricks on dance floors, spun disco balls and mirrored halls, just up front, Filoni smoke, a shotgun through the shopping mall. Where did we go wrong?
Cool. not going to play it all, folks. Don't want to spoil too
Oh,
much.
yeah. Didn't get
very
the
nice,
chorus there.
Sounds great.
Yeah, well, yeah. Got anticipation. Build the anticipation, mate. That was great. As always, Steve, the kick drum you got in there and the low end, very, very nice, very round. Very nice,
thank
man.
you.
What do you use one kick drum sample? Do you augment?
No, I don't. I use Kick 2 actually most of the time. So that's, if you've ever used Kick 2, it's a weird sort of thing because it's more like a kick drum synthesizer. You know, you sort of take a sample is often the kind of basis of it, but like you can kind of change the envelope, you know, really do everything with the drum itself. So it kind of tune it and everything. Yeah, it's quite good. So I often use that, but I will sometimes line samples with it, but sometimes not. In this one, I spent ages lining a 707 kick as well to it, and then went, no, I don't like that, and got rid of it. But, you know. So yeah. So sometimes I'll layer them up, but kicks often don't work that well layered. I think snares definitely do. Snares, God, yeah. I spent forever trying to get the snare right on that, and it's still not as good as Subnails. No. Yeah, so there we go.
What was your vocal processing, Tim? The kind of vocoder stuff going on in the background.
Yeah, it's funny. There's actually not a huge amount of vocoder. There's quite a bit of some filters on the vocals, like all the time, running on bits of vocals. And there is a towel vocoder line, which is sort of like, you know, going like just a little bit going underneath it, and then. You know, there's just the fact that I can't sing and there's lots of autotune, yeah. Other than that, nothing else. Yeah, no. So it's not as sort of vocoded as it might sound like. I think the filtering sort of doing a bit of that kind of slightly resonance in the vocal. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, sounds good.
Nice.
Oh, thank you.
Very good. Very good. Thanks, gents. I think this is really cool. You could probably, hopefully, it may turn into with the Synth Pals pub. That it might, if everyone were to bring a song along, it would probably be an episode in itself and just like play their tune and then just pick bits out of it. How do you do this? How do you do X, Y, Z? And maybe try dedicating it. Maybe we'll try to dedicate an episode just to sort of listening back to people's music and offer a bit of feedback and just picking apart a bit in a way. I think that's quite a cool thing to do. Yeah. I think Tota mentioned that to me a while back, so I'm not going to take the credit for that idea. She mentioned that to me ages ago, and once again, I've got a long list of things. But go back to the YouTube stream. Heartbeat Hero says Wonderland ! So I'm assuming he's a fan.
Oh, good.
Which is good. Yeah. So hopefully we'll do this again in a month's time. I'm hoping that I'll actually have a song myself that I'll be able to play on here, which I'll be quite excited about.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, quite.
Very nice.
I'm hoping to. It's gone past the. Actually, I tell a lie. I've just got to finish some toms, and then it's going to be a mixing stage. So I've done all the editing and whatnot. When it comes to vocals, it takes me ages because I'm really finicky with vocals.
You want to talk to Thaurex because I've still not got a better tom sound than Thaurex's. Like it's like every time I go and write something, I'll go like. Damn, I should have used those ones that he wrote in, like, you know.
Knocking at your door, Thaurex.
They're great tom sounds. Yeah.
Thank you. Actually, I didn't know that that you would be playing tracks because I actually have a new track that I've been working on myself.
Oh no!
Communication, people.
Yeah. You must have missed the. I put the link. Next time, Thaurex. Next time we'll do it.
Yeah.
100%, man. Gents,
fire it to me. I'd like to hear it.
Yes. Yeah. So I'll do what I usually do. I'll go around and give you the opportunity just to say where individuals can find you online if they are listening to the podcast for the first time. So let's start with Helsinki Project. Where can our listeners find your music online?
Oh, I'm a little bit of everywhere now. Find me on all the usual spots. I'm on YouTube now, Spotify, Deezer, iTunes, Apple Music, all them usual spots. I have a track out only as of last week, which is a follow-on from the EP, The Point of No Return. So something similar with a slightly different angle on it. Have a listen. I'd love to know people's thoughts on it. So.
Fantastic stuff. As always, folks, audience listening, I will put all these links in the episode notes so you can go and listen at your heart's content. Neon Highway.
We've got at Neon Highway Synth on Instagram, and from there you've got a Linktree linking out to everything basically. Lethal Weapons coming out 17th February. We've got another Blade Runner track coming out the 27th of March, and now I just need to keep writing and keep that consistency going. But yeah, at Neon Highway Synth.
Yes, Blade Runner, man. Looking forward to that. Sub-Neil.
All the streamers, and it's sub_neon at most social platforms. So yeah, at sub_neon, and you'll see the ramblings that I put out on a daily basis.
Fantastic. Thalrex.
Yeah, so you can find all my music on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, Bandcamp, and all my social media links you can find at the Linktree/Talrex. I'm mostly on Instagram these days at Talrex Music. Yeah, and I also want to say I'm working on producing my very first album, so I'm hoping to be announcing something soon. Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah,
looking forward to that.
Looking forward to that.
Yes. Lots of collaborations.
I hope so.
Lovely stuff. Yeah. I think we were talking a while back about you collaborating with, I'm not going to mention, a vocalist, which I'm quite looking forward to hearing. Tim, where can we find you?
You can find me most places at R9 Music. You can find me at R9 Synthwave on Twitter if you happen to be on that stupid platform. You know, you can find me on even TikTok, I believe. But yeah, I'm more of an Insta person than anywhere else. But no, just hit me up on any social you want. Can I just have a big shout out for the 25th of February in Bristol at the Fleece, Dusk Waves. It's going to be amazing. And then there's Boulevard, whatever it is, I don't know, something after it. I always forget the name of it. The thing that is going on afterwards. Sunset Boulevard. That's it. Yeah, that's the one. That's going on afterwards at Rough Trade. But come to Dust Waves if you can make it to Bristol that day. It's free and loads of synthwave artists, and I will be performing live, and you can come watch me and buy a T-shirt. So it should be a great event. I think loads of people. Zach Vortex, you mentioned earlier, the Endearing, Synthwave 83, and AUW, who are actually the hosts. So fantastic. It should be good. And I have Wonderland coming out the day before on the 24th of February, and you've just heard how interesting that is. So go and pick that up. That will be on all the streamers, and it will be on my Bandcamp as well. And use Bandcamp if you want. It'd be fantastic because it supports us all, doesn't it? So it's great. Yeah, thank you.
Brilliant, thanks, Tim. Yeah, get along to that on the 25th. I'm going to be there myself as well, and I'm not performing, but I will be half cut, if not more, in the crowd.
You will.
Heckling Tim. So you'll see me. Yeah, you'll see
I'll
me
be the person whose Mac has stopped working, yeah.
I'll be the one at the back laughing. So
whose 2012, mid-2012 MacBook has stopped working.
Oh, mate, you are bold doing that with a 2012 Mac.
Don't ask me.
But gentlemen, we'll call it there. Yeah, get along to that on the 25th. This now puts me under pressure to get this episode out before then, so you can actually hear that. But yeah, I'll be there, and come and say hi if you see me. Hopefully you'll recognise me. You may not. You'll recognise Tim.
Otherwise, you'll be talking to Ben Affleck.
The West Country Ben Affleck. Yeah. Excellent. All right, gents, we'll call it there. Big thank you for this today. Thank you very much, and I will catch up with you all soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, mate.
Thank you.